Hi everybody, it's Natalie Hemmens, your favorite Southern California realtor. Today I am sitting down with my broker of record, Dale Chema. He is the Keller Williams Irvine broker, also a longtime realtor and an investor. So thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Did you get into investing before you became a realtor, or was a realtor first, and then how did you get into your first investment?
I was originally an engineer. So my first investment was a 12-unit building in Toronto, Canada, while I was working. So on weekends, I would fix it up and evenings, and I sold it for a nice profit. So that's how I got into investing. And then when I moved to California, I decided to give up engineering and wanted to really become an investor. But I had to make an income, so I thought, well, I'll get into sales. Never really expected to do particularly well, but I felt if I came across opportunities that I could buy and fix up, that was my original plan.
So you've always wanted to be an investor?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So have you invested in any out-of-state properties, or are they all, besides Toronto, are you local now to Orange
I
County?
am now, but I did try out of state. I had during the recession of 2008, I purchased a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Grand Rapids, Michigan, for a whole $33,000. Yeah, it was a foreclosure. The roof collapsed because of the snow. The pipes broke because they froze. And I sold it 5 years later for a whole $37,000.
Oh, okay.
And I was glad to be out because after I paid the commission and everything, it was a loser. So after that, I decided, you know what, I want to touch and feel. So now, other than a home in Palm Springs area, everything is in Orange County.
So how have you leveraged your investments here to invest more, like take one out equity or doing things like that? How do you leverage your property?
I mean, it's very simple. The one thing that you're guaranteed in Orange County is appreciation. So the real estate sales side pretty much was to keep bread on the table. The real money comes out of investing. So first I purchased a home, then as it is in our business, we're always coming across better deals, larger, better. So for many years, I would just keep the home I had and move on to a bigger one, live there for a while, move on to a bigger one. Then as they built up equity, I would refinance them and keep them, and then I would go buy something else.
Okay, so you've moved from property to property as the homeowner, and then you've rented them out to get the passive income.
That's
as
correct.
well as the appreciation and using the equity to keep moving forward. So can you talk a little bit about the residential investing versus the commercial investing, and which one you like better and why?
Well, there are different aspects of commercial. I mean, I have owned large warehouses, 25,000 square foot warehouses. I've owned the land on which Toyota Huntington Beach sat. So they are commercial, but they're usually one tenant properties. So I had bad experience with those. In 2010, when the market collapsed, my dealership moved across the street and I was left for 2.5 acres on Beach Boulevard. Then my warehouse, the company went bankrupt and I was left with a 25,000 square foot warehouse. So that's the downside to a single tenant property, is if that tenant moves, you're stuck. And in 2008 to 2010, the market was so bad that nobody was expanding, dealerships were closing down. So it was a very difficult time. So I came out of that, fortunately. I lost quite a bit, but I came out of it. And then I decided, okay, one tenant properties are not good, multi-tenant properties are. So that's how I got into multi-tenant properties. If one tenant moves out, it really doesn't hurt that much.
Good to know, and I never really thought of it like that. So that's a really great insight.
I found out the hard way.
Yeah, that's really great insight, sharing with everybody before they think about doing their first commercial. What do you suggest? Doing your own property management or hiring a property manager? What can you say about that topic?
It really depends on where you are in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So if you own one or two properties, of course you should manage them yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Why give away money when you're trying to get, especially in the beginning, they usually barely break even because you only have enough for a down payment. So you don't want to be giving money away to a property manager when you can do it yourself. You know, even now, I'm still managing. I have a full-time person, but I still manage my own properties.
Can you talk about how you've streamlined your fixes? Because I know in Woodbridge, particularly, you've made a lot of beautiful homes by taking the homes that are already there and when they're getting older, fixing them up. And it seems like you've done it so many times now that you've kind of streamlined that process. Can you talk about some of the things that are really streamlined for you?
Well, fortunately, I have a wonderful contractor. The contractor has been with me 35 years. He started off as my gardener. Then he became a handyman. Then he started doing little pieces here and there, flooring, then cabinets, and now he's a full-on general contractor.
Wow.
And does beautiful work. So after 35 years working with the same person, they pretty much understand how you think, what you want, and the standards that you have. So now I can pretty much just hand a property over to him. He knows how I like my bathrooms, what kind of flooring I use, what kind of crown molding I want, what kind of recessed lights I want, what kind of counters I want. So it has helped. It makes his life easier because I'm not micromanaging him, and it makes my life easier because I really don't have to worry about someone that I haven't worked with before.
Yeah, so right there, it's all about the relationship
It really
and
is.
building that relationship over time and how it actually makes everybody's life easier. Wonderful.
Our whole business is about relationships,
Yes,
even the sales side.
that's true. I know that you have children and grandchildren, and can you talk about creating some of that generational wealth for your investments and how that pertains to your future and the future of your kids?
Well, you know, I own mainly apartment buildings. So each of my children gets 2 apartment buildings. So by the time, hopefully, I'll be here for a while, there will be the buildings transferred to them. They're all in trusts for my children, and then they go on to my grandchildren. So my children will benefit. Somewhere down the road, they could sell them if they need to, if they for tax reasons, let's say there's no write-offs in the properties, then they can go ahead and sell them. But the plan is that they would continue. By the time I'm gone, all the properties will be paid off, and they'll get a substantial income, which my grandchildren don't need to worry about where their college is coming from. And my children, they're not as capitalistic as I am. So they have wonderful careers, and I'm very proud of them. Money is not a priority with them. So this would just enhance their income. It allowed them to not have to stress out. Not that they really have to now, but you know, extra income is always good. So it passes from my children. The trust pass on from my children to my grandchildren and to my great grandchildren.
And for everyone listening, I've been talking about trust for a really long time. So you heard it from the king over here. Set one up if you haven't already.
Absolutely. Everybody should have a trust. Everybody should have a trust.
Agreed. So can you talk about being an active member in the community?
Well, yes, I can. And it was really all by accident. I came to this part of California not knowing anybody. So I got involved in every aspect of real estate. I got involved in the board. I got involved in the community only because I wanted to meet more people, and hopefully it would bring me on to the forefront of when people thought about selling their homes. So when we opened in 2004, I had the idea of like putting movies on the lake. So I approached the association, and they said, "Oh, great idea, it's something for the community." So I come from a philosophy that the person that gives the most to the community gets the most back, and I have found that to be true. So I got involved in the board. I was of the Wood Association, Homeowners Association, I got involved in the real estate board, ended up being the president, and I was a CAR and an AR director. And then when that was done, my children were little, I decided to take a back seat, focus on the company here, and to spend more time with my children. But it's, people come up to me in the street all the time, who I don't know, but know me from being. So it was not intended to bring me business. It was my way of giving back.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, the more you give back, the more you receive, and I found that to be very true.
Well, I've gone to the movies on the lake, and I brought my kids and my whole family, and we really love it. And it's a great thing that you do for the community.
Yeah.
So everybody I know that has gone really
Yeah,
appreciates.
we love doing
giving
it.
back.
We
Yeah.
love doing it.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it is. It absolutely is.
Can you talk about the investment strategies that you use the most? Fix and flipping, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, hold for long term, trading up, 1031 exchanges.
Okay.
Do you use all of them?
I do.
Or-
I do. For the first 27 years of my investing, it was just hold.
Mm.
I would buy them. If I needed to fix them up, I did. But in the beginning, it was just carpet and paint. I rent them out as quickly as possible. So as time got on, I had to look at, okay, where am I now? As much as in this area, properties appreciate very well, they don't cash flow as well. And then somewhere down the road, you have to say, okay, one of these days I may retire and I want income coming in. So 5 years ago, I decided that maybe I needed to change my strategy. So then I got into buying fixer-uppers, and I only do 2 a year. That's my max. I buy the ugliest house on the street, and it's a piece of art when I'm finished. So nothing is Mickey Mouse. I'm not your regular flipper in that sense. I take a lot of pride in what I do. But what I decided was, okay, after so many years, I still didn't have great cash flow with all these. I had 27 properties. With 27 properties, I was still only breaking even after all these years. But I had tons of equity. So that was when I decided, okay, I need to change it now. So I sold the single family homes, the condos, got into apartment building, and they started cash flowing immediately. So after 5 years, I've sold most of those properties that I had, bought multi-units, and as much as they may not appreciate as much as, say, Irvine or Woodbridge does, they still appreciate because Orange County is what it is. But cash flow wise, it's amazing how they've turned into cash cows pretty much. Those, I would tell you, I do buy as fixer-uppers. I fix them up, I gut them, and
the apartment building?
apartments, and I build brand new units. And then the benefits are that I get a tenant that will pay top dollar and a tenant that never leaves. So that has really helped with the cash flow. So now I'm at a point where, I'm not really worried as much about growing my wealth. That was the last 30, 35 years. Now I'm more about enjoying what I've created. So with the way that, Orange County being what it is and a shortage of rentals, the only thing that hurts an investor is if a property sits vacant, because you never recruit that rent. So that is a problem that we don't have in Orange County. So as long as I don't have that problem, my rents go up 9.5% every year.
And then you can retire.
Well, I could, but then what would I know? I don't know what I would do.
Please don't.
I wouldn't know what I would do, but this is just simple passive income,
Right.
and it's nice to have it coming in. But I still have the passion for real estate and coming into the office every day that I've had for the last 38 years.
Well, we enjoy that aspect of it too. What advice would you give first-time investors?
Well, I would say get into something. Don't worry about it being exactly what you want. Just get in. Just started getting into the appreciation cycle. Then you can always sell that, move on to something else, or as I did, hopefully it appreciates, refinance it, take that money and buy the next one. And now you have two properties appreciation.
Right.
Then you take that money and you buy a third one. Now you have 3 properties. It is not rocket science.
No.
It's just that most people really, many are afraid of being landlords.
Mhm.
And then they can hire us. We'd be glad to rent out the properties for them. And people do. They come to me and say, just, we'll buy the house from you, but you take care of everything, which is not such a bad deal for me, you know. So, but get into something, whether it's a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom. Don't wait for that dream investment property. Just get your foot in the door.
Okay, just get started. Just do it, like Nike.
Exactly, exactly. I think they stole my line, Nike.
They probably did.
But people just wait for the right deal. You know, the right deal never comes along.
Yeah.
Or by the time it comes along, it's doubled in price. So just get into whatever you can afford, get into it.
Good advice. Is there anything you want to add to our conversation here that we haven't already covered about investing?
No, I mean, I don't know why more people don't do it, especially people in our profession, in the real estate world. Because, you know, our market goes up and down.
Yeah.
We've had a good 12 years, but sooner or later there's going to be a correction or there's going to be a slowdown. In fact, the slowdown is already coming. If you're relying just on commissions, and now, as you know, we have probably 25% of the inventory that we normally have, there's only so much of the pie to go around. If you're relying just on commissions, you're going to be competing with everybody else. If you have passive income coming in, then none of that really matters.
Yeah, agreed.
So I would just say get into something, get into it as quickly as possible. And especially us being in our profession, we see all the good deals. We should be, how can we go out to the public and say, invest in real estate when we're not doing it?
Yeah. Well, Dale, thank you so much.
Thank you, Natalie.
For
I
having
appreciate you
This has been
spending the time. Thank you. Thank you. All right.